Am I good to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome to the Errata Sonata.
I don't know why you have this strong feeling about this cartoonish way you think I do the Errata Sonata intro.
Welcome to the Errata Sonata.
I'm not out here being like a kid's YouTuber. I'm just pronouncing my words very clearly.
It's my only chance to use my announcer voice. Here's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Noah, and I feel like being a voice actor would be very cool.
Okay, my name is Ian, and I think that we've both expressed that we had speech therapy issues that kind of, removes us from the candidates of good voice actors.
Very cool. I think that I could still be a good voice actor even with my speech impediments.
Yeah, well, your cousin was going to be the voice actor for us. We were going to do a YouTube channel together a while back.
Really?
Yeah, we were going to do Project M tips from the iceberg.
Oh, I think you mentioned this.
Yeah, we did a few recordings. That's part of why I have this microphone. So yeah, your cousin and I were doing that for a little bit, but it never went anywhere. Like with 90% of the artistic projects I start, I don't follow through and then it dies.
And here we are.
We'll see. We got a good chunk in. We ignoring EX sets, we're about to pass Digimon.
We have English release.
English release sets, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's EX sets in Digimon. We only have one EX episode.
That's not officially an episode.
Yes.
Because you told me it was a mini-sode, and then it was 2 hours long.
Are we going to get into this? Because we had backroom drama on this episode. This recording, no, the numbering of the Julian episode.
There was no drama. Who's Julian?
Julian? He's a guy. He's a guy who listens to our episodes. He's one of our 60 listeners.
16? We have 16?
60.
You think we have 60 listeners?
I don't know.
Maybe. I do listen to this over and over on 20 different accounts at least. So.
I mean, listen, if we had 16, that's a tournament, dude.
That's a 4-round tournament.
That's a night.
That is a quality tournament right there. That is what I would love to have every week.
Well,
at locals. Here's
the thing. I recently, we're out of date. We're past our prime. But I recently watched.
I'm not. I'm literally prime.
You're prime soda. Wait, is it a soda? It's a sports drink.
It's a sports
Your prime
drink.
Sports drink.
I am a prime number at the moment.
How old are you?
I don't know if I'm a prime number. I'm 25.
No, you are not. That's divisible by 5.
Yeah, so I'm prime.
I'm furious. All right. I was like, wait, no way you're 23.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
Almost 23.
Yeah, but 4 is almost 3. It does not make 4 prime.
Almost it does. Almost it does.
Anyways, I forget about that. What I'm going to say is that I recently watched a tournament that was very exciting. That was less than 16 players. Because it was a 4-player tournament, if you'd believe it.
Well,
I know, Noah. Okay. You don't need to correct me. I got it. Because we watched the top 4 of Worlds as a Hamilton Discord watch together.
Yes.
And first of all, I love watch togethers. I used to do them all the time with Project M tournaments. And it's one thing that I think has constantly been missing from the Digimon community that I engage with.
I'm gonna jump in here really quickly. It was very interesting to hear some of the players that don't interact with the larger meta scene.
Mm-hmm.
They're local heroes, giving their opinions on plays because they were just way off.
Yeah, you very much had some differences of opinion there.
And it was just interesting to hear them because you could tell, especially with security control being in the finals, you could tell that they don't understand how to play security control because they've played against security control and they feel like security control players, they play cards, they win. Easy as pie, And so hearing their opinions about what the security control player should do was very interesting because...
Yeah, well, we said this before. At the end of the day, security control is a unique skill to pilot. And I think that most people who play traditional stacks Digimon don't even enter the consciousness of what they need to do to perform as a security control player. And often the issue where that comes about is if you can't imagine yourself in your opponent's shoes, it's very hard to fight them because they can't even imagine what their opponent intends to do next turn. And that's I think why security control ends up being such a new player slayer.
The watch together was very fun though.
Yes.
A big thing for me, I don't know about you, I had the commentators muted.
Oh yeah, we're small enough that we can shit on people who are popular, really popular. Because I'll say, how does True Champion Steven have a job? How is this guy getting hired?
I don't know. I can't even say anything because I had it muted because I mean I've heard the commentators before and there just wasn't really anything of value being added to them. Us talking, I think, was better commentary, even though we had people that similarly did not understand what was going on. But at least to me, that was interesting to hear.
Because you were hearing a unique perspective, and when it was wrong, you were able to jump in and be like, hey, I don't think this is why. When it comes to commentary, if the commentary is wrong and you're just like a passive listener, unless you want to believe, and this is not true, but unless you want to believe that Twitch chat is equally valid as talking to another human being in terms of interaction, you don't really have any way of saying, hey, that's wrong, and like interrupting the flow.
It's a frustrating experience because they could just be wrong, or they could be doing it to incite Twitch chat, because that's viewership right there. That's engagement.
I don't think so, because even though it would incite interaction, it fundamentally is not a great look for Bandai. So Bandai would not want to encourage that.
Yeah, but they already hired True Champion.
Sure, but like if they're going to continue hiring him, that behavior is not something they would want to reward. So I just think that at the end of the day, even if we don't like the guy, after he's done, a Bandai representative is going to talk to him and say, you did this well, you did this poorly. Like, you know, like somebody is going to review the footage.
Interesting.
You don't think so?
I have no opinion on it.
There's production staff there.
Sometimes, Ian, I just don't know things. And so when you tell me something, I'm like, that's cool to hear. I've learned something.
You're a passive listener to my commentary.
I just like learning stuff. And, you know, when it comes to Digimon, you have nothing to teach me. But when it comes to, what's the word? Corporations.
Yeah,
I have everything to learn.
I can teach you about corporations. That's fine.
Teach me the corpo human speak.
It's actually so funny. So before I got into my current job, I was doing my public accounting license. And before that, I was doing accounting for gold mines. I was in the mining industry. And the mining industry is extremely frat bro. Like everybody talks like they're in a movie trying to showcase the dangers of drug use. And
what? Like the actual people doing the mining?
Like, or? No, so I was in the finance office. So it's a very big, it's a multi-billion-dollar company, but it was a finance team of 30 people. And it was all in Toronto.
I feel that whenever finance people are portrayed in media, they are always frat bros.
Yeah, and I think it's just, what I'm expressing is it's shocking how accurate it is. Because I think that often I see things in movies and I go, oh, okay, well, that's just a dramatized version. But I think that within corporate culture, a lot of people are in a feedback loop trying to emulate the kind of behavior that they think the frat boy culture is from movies. And so it's like almost everybody is overacting and nobody's acting like a human being. Like, I'll put it like this. Somebody will be ostracized from the office if they hold their hamburger in a weird way. And that's something that happened. One of our co-ops came in and 55-year-old guys who are making millions of dollars a year at this company were like, oh, we saw this one kid eating a burger weird. So we're going to, but we're going to bully him publicly.
That's hilarious.
And it'll just be okay. And everyone's fine with it. And I was like, this sucks.
That's a good work environment.
Yeah, it's healthy.
I'd be with the 55-year-old team. That'd be my team.
Well, here's the thing.
I don't eat burgers weird.
It's one of those things that like I hated some parts of it, but at the same time, when I saw the Sonic movie, I had a lot of people who wanted to talk about the Sonic movie, and I was like, it's pros and cons. When I worked in a small town place and I had a real business job, nobody fucking knew what Sonic was. So you gotta pick your poison. Do you want to be a toxic male gamer, or do you want to have no gamers in your life?
All the frat boys wanted to talk about Sonic.
They were crazy about it.
They were nuts over Sonic.
They couldn't get enough of that little
guy. That's actually really funny. And they were all like older.
I was doing this job when I was 22, and there was a co-op that was younger than me, and then the next youngest person was like 27. And then from that 27, there was like 3 people under 30, and the rest were over 40.
Too bad you weren't playing Digimon back then. They probably would have went crazy.
Yeah, when I saw that one advertisement for what's the tagline they use?
For Digimon or Sonic?
No, for Digimon, the Digimon advertisement that came out with the airport commercial.
I don't know.
You know the business one of the guy. There's an advertisement for the Digimon card game. We're so off.
I just don't know I don't know the tagline. It's the one where it's like, you play Digimon?
Yeah, so that's the airport one. But there's an advertisement of a corporate office where a boss is giving a speech to his employees. A boss is giving a speech to his employees, and then he's like, "Okay, we need to have this done by 5 p.m. Stay late if you have to. Like it's in before tomorrow." And then he gives this look to his employee, his hot young employee. His employee texts him. Yeah, he texts him, and he's like, "It's like they're fucking later. There's 1,000% chance they're meeting after work, and he's gonna fuck his boss because he's this young ripped dude in this corporate office, and he texts his boss, and his boss just starts sweating, and he's like, "I'm busy tonight. I have plans. Everybody go home, leave the office. Me and this one young guy who works for me are gonna hang out late." And then we flash forward and they're playing Digimon. And I can't believe that's the commercial they went with.
You know what? Every time I watch that, because I've actually seen that quite a few times, because it kept playing at nationals.
Okay.
Was the fact that it really felt like these were non-native English speakers, the way they were acting.
Oh, I think they were non-native.
They all looked very English speaking.
So we talked about this on an earlier episode, that one of the things that happens is that if you are a piece of media made outside of an English-speaking country and you want to make ads for an English-speaking market, very frequently you will just get any English speakers in your country. So I truly believe that those were filmed in Japan or in Asia for an English-speaking market. And that's why everyone has those sort of weird off accents. That happens with any advertisement you see for mobile games. Oh, I have 5 million power. 10 free draws.
They look like very classic white people. Like the boss
you know
looks
what?
like a white guy.
We get around.
I guess it's just weird because
that one might
it's
be
weird to think that there might be white people growing up like in Japan only speaking Japanese.
Yes. So that one might actually be filmed in the US. I don't know. I have no idea. But what I'm thinking of is that airport commercial, I think is...
Yeah.
Because the security guard in that video does not sound like any English speaker I've ever heard.
Neither have I.
How about a quick game?
No, it's the way he says, I played Digimon 2! And then he just throws everything off.
He throws another scene of somebody about to fuck on a table.
As I was going through airport security to get to nationals...
Yeah.
I kept thinking about that scene, and I kept thinking about how pissed I would be if I was waiting to go through security, and the guy was like, how about a quick game? And I just had to sit there waiting to go through while this guy played Digimon with somebody.
They're also not quick games.
Well, he's playing Bond of Friendship. He was winning turn 3. Easy. Easy money.
You derailed me very severely, but
What do you mean? We're back on Digimon.
We are on Digimon, but I want to talk about Worlds. I've been really excited to talk about Worlds.
Yeah, let's talk about Worlds.
Because 4 decks, obviously... 4 entirely different decks with no overlap of cards, as you would naturally assume. Because we had, what was it? We had Leviamon.
Yep.
We had Leviamon X.
Yep.
We had Anubismon featuring Leviamon.
Sure, but it was just Leviamon. There's only one Anubismon in it. Continue.
And then the true champion, Steven. Security Control.
What a wild top 4.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, do you actually think that Leviamon is that dominant, or was that do you think that's a non-characteristic showcase?
I think Leviamon is very dominant, but I also think that the world's meta was very special.
Why is that? Because I only watched top 4.
Okay, so in my opinion, and I might be so wrong here, I think that it would be easier to come first at Worlds than it would to come first in a 512 player tournament.
Spoilers for later. I think that I can play the game better than the guy who came second at Worlds.
While I do think that very, very good players are at Worlds, you are accounting for a much smaller meta. You are accounting for a much smaller sample size, and I
there's
think that makes
almost
it a lot easier.
Never going to be a rogue deck, you would think, at like an invitational.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I was shocked to see Bloomlord, but I also think that Bloomlord is in a pretty unique position because even though they play a lot by effect, they also play Pomamons, which means you can't play by effect. They are the only ones with access to a searchable floodgate.
Yes.
It was a great showing overall.
It was a very good showing. I think that security control was, from what we were seeing, initially they were scraping by. It just feels like once the Leviamon was in a bad position, he was losing his whole deck size and didn't have a way of really recovering. Like 7th Lightning was the only card that he could put to the bottom of deck.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, you're on a timer now. You put yourself on a timer.
I think on average, purple just has a better time against security control because they have access to recursion. So if in Mirage, if you delete 3 of my Mirages, I have 1 left.
Yeah.
If you delete 3 Leviamons, they've got 3 in the trash, ready to go.
Yeah. That's one
Obviously,
biting crush away.
Chaos Degradation helps a little bit against purple decks.
Yeah.
But as a rule of thumb, I think that purple decks have a good time against security control. In Leviamon, having access to security attack +2 is just, you take your checks where you can get them. And doing 3 checks, bing, bang, boom, feels good, especially if you don't hit a bomb. So I do think they've got a good matchup. Now, some other factors were at play here that I've seen lots of people complaining about, that because we went to overtime, and we went to overtime twice. That is the nature of security control being a control deck, meaning your opponent spend more time to kill you.
Yes.
Also, it's Worlds. People are thinking through their play.
Yeah, nobody wants to make a misplay that loses them the biggest stage tournament of their life, probably.
Yeah, we didn't see that happen.
We'll get to it. We're one item at a time, though. Huh?
Overtime rules are a little bit skewed towards security control. That being said, I don't think there's a way to make them not skewed towards one kind of deck. So I think the complaints are pretty unwarranted. But the fact that it goes to who has more cards left in deck.
Yep. When
you're playing against 3 purple decks, you're feeling pretty good about having more cards left in deck.
Yes, a tie is functionally a win in that scenario.
And then there's also who has more cards left in security, which again, as security control, feel pretty good. Most of the time. I mean, there are some games where if they go long enough, your opponent's got 6 or 7 security, Chaos Degradation, or you Lonke, and you're at less. But most of the time, especially if you're just starting the game, you feel good about that, having more security. So we went to overtime in the semifinals, and security control took it against Leviamon. Now that Leviamon, I believe, wasn't running Biting Crush, which is very interesting, but also I think a very good play against security control specifically.
Because why? They're only going to get, well, you don't have a lot of things that you want to remove, and the only play by effect is going to be a Flame Hellscythe?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Of course, Leviamon has access to making you play by effect.
But
it just feels like
they only have so many level 4s and below that could be in trash in the first place.
Exactly. And I mean, there are some instances where I think it's very valuable. Blowing up a Shadow Seraphi when you have an empty board with Biting Crush probably feels very good. But again, these were decks tailored to the meta of World. And so this person didn't feel like they needed Biting Crush, probably because they were expecting a lot of Leviamon and Numamon most likely. And Biting Crush doesn't feel particularly great against either, even though Biting Crush will be live all the time against Numamon.
Yes.
You're spending 8 to kill nothing of particular value when you're against Numamon, because all their stuff is so cheap. And so there's never really a time where you say, I'd like to spend 8 memory to delete this, instead of just even hard playing Leviathan, which you can just do against Numamon. And you're not waiting an extra turn for the delay, because Numamon is fast deck. Very fast.
Very fast, yeah.
Which, I mean, talking about it now, I'm a little surprised that Numamon didn't make it higher at Worlds.
Yeah, because I feel like it's a really solid deck. I'm actually really scared of facing Numamon all the time.
I definitely think it could outspeed Leviamon.
Yeah, I just would assume it would swing under it, and that would kind of cook it.
It might have just been unlucky matchups. They might have faced Red Hybrid and then been taken out by Crimson Blazes.
Yeah, I'm increasingly growing frustrated with the existence of Crimson Blaze, if I'm earnest.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Oh, are we? Okay,
yes.
We're queuing so many things up. I actually know we're going to talk about Crimson Blaze. Because I got a lot of strong feelings about that card.
Yeah, let's keep talking about Worlds a little bit. Let's wrap it up on Worlds.
Okay, so let's not dance around it. A particular event happened that was really the focus of the chat and of our call, because in grand finals, the Leviamon player was very clearly, intentionally slow playing from my perspective. I guess I'll give him a little bit of leeway.
There were a lot of people defending it, saying it's Worlds. He has to take time to think about it. He's nervous. The reality is, you're a good player. You've made it to Worlds. You won Nationals. That was nerve-wracking, being at the finals of Nationals.
For sure.
You have to be used to it at this point. And I think a mark of a good player is being able to handle that stress. And you can make that excuse all you want, but at the end of the day, it's slow play. Like, if you're nervous and you're taking longer to make your plays, it's still slow play.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your reasoning
That's
is.
the source of it. But like, unless the source is, oh, my opponent forced me to slow play, it's like, well, it's still ultimately you did that. Yeah. The outcome is that you're taking too long to take every turn and risking your opponent being forced into a tie scenario when they deserve just a clear win.
And so game one, Leviamon took, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
In game two, we were getting very, very close to overtime. And that's when we started seeing the really slow play. And we don't know what happened because we didn't hear, at least I didn't hear the commentators.
I kept turning it off and on. They were mentioning it.
But even then, the commentators don't know what the actual judges are saying.
Yeah.
And so we don't know if there was an instance where there was a misplay made where
there were multiple misplays made.
A Pillowmon came out of trash forcibly by Dragomon or by Warusigimon, one of the two. And he popped Biting Crush to play out Leviamon. Couldn't play by effect.
Yes. And
it felt like that was the slippery slope down into more and more misplays.
Yes.
Because later on we saw negative 5k floating on the field, and he went to go play a level 3 to rush for game.
Yes, he tried to play... I thought he tried to play Guillemon.
He did, to rush for game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it died immediately. And so he was very shook about that misplay, and then he was trying to figure out how to end his turn, and he played Gazimon,
yes,
which died immediately. And it was rough to see.
Yeah, no, if I was from that player's local community, I would feel really bad for him, and I would definitely be like, man, that sucks. You shake it off.
Especially after, I don't know if you saw the beginning of it, but he said during his interview before the start of the PAL 4, I beat all these players in Swiss. I'm just going to do it again.
Damn.
Yeah, that is really cocky. And, I'm sure a lot of people were rooting against him because of that. But to see it go down like that, I mean...
How do you feel about that, by the way? Just a quick aside about, like, showboating or, like, bragging.
I mean, I personally don't like it. I'll never be that kind of person.
Oh, you don't like it? Okay.
Because Pete won.
Sure.
I don't think Pete's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
He won Worlds. But in the same vein, I don't think Security Control is the best deck in the world. Just because Security Control won Worlds doesn't make it the best deck, and just because a player wins Worlds doesn't make them the best player in the world. And I'm not trying to be controversial, and I'm not obviously amazing player.
Congratulations, genuinely.
Yeah, it was so cool to see him play at Nats live, and I was cheering for him. I'm sad he didn't take it, but he came second. And oh my goodness, was I cheering for him at Worlds. Because one, I'm NA. I'm not USA, but I'm NA. And two, I wanted to see NA take it over EU.
Yeah.
Especially after the cockiness, because Pete just wasn't like, he was just there.
He was just vibing.
He was vibing.
Yeah, no. So I guess I can get that. Friendly rivalry can breed a lot of excitement. It can build a narrative. And I get excited when players are willing to have that. I think that it can be really disappointing when I'm watching an esports event and I've got this awkward guy on stage who just like doesn't want to build any kind of rivalry or narrative and just goes, I guess I'll just play the match, and like there's no energy to it. I think that can be disappointing. And coming over from like Smash, Melee, Project M, and fighting games, the showboating, the cockiness is such a big part of creating heroes and villains.
Sure. I'm sure Digimon community has space for Leffen.
Yeah.
I mean, he's European too. It's perfect. But me personally, I don't enjoy it.
No. And now, and if you do it at locals, let's be real, you're a weenie. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I still think that everything that's come out of Leffen is very funny. But I also think that he's been annoying to me on occasions. And I think that at that moment, I found it annoying. I found it pretentious.
Here's what I'll say. Good and bad. As a casual Digimon fan. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I casual Digimon. All right. I think that we don't have a very good competitive narrative that grows and changes over time.
Frozen saying, I beat them all in Swiss, I'm going to beat them again, made the finals that much better to watch.
Exactly.
He made it better to watch simply by saying that.
Exactly. He took up the mantle of villain, and it made it so exciting. And if he hadn't done that, the narrative of, if it was just like some random guy who was nice and a little awkward and, you know, made some misplays and we kind of fumbled the grands, I think that like it would not be that interesting of a story. But the fact that it's this guy who stood up, who was like, I'm the best there is, and I'm going to spank you North American scum. And then he just completely like dropped the bag.
I've never seen a drop that bad. Like, if I told that is equivalent or worse than a brand new player playing. If I told a new player that when they play level 3, it auto dies and they do it once
they do
and
it
then
again.
they do it again, I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And like, that was very clearly nerves.
No, and you know what? The biting crush, I get, because he clearly was like, he was going to do the biting crush regardless of what came out, and he just did not mentally realize that the thing that was going to come out would stop his play.
Yeah, that was, to him, it was almost like all one motion.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is in the Europe finals, no, it wasn't the finals. I think it was semifinals or something. Somebody went into burst mode and all in one motion drew for Digivolve.
And yes, we've talked about this.
Yeah. He called the judge over, and the judge was like, "No, you gotta hard Digivolve that." And it's so funny because he went to do the same thing, like all in one motion. Digivolve, you play out your thing. I'm gonna bite and crush, play out Leviathan, and nope, no Leviathan's coming out.
I think the important takeaway is, even if it's, you know, an obvious next step, if your opponent has to take an action, wait for them to resolve their action before you go through the motions.
Yep.
I think that there is something to be said about, like, there's an expectation that we play the game in the order that Bandai tells us to. We're obeying the rules of the game.
Yeah, interact with your opponent, please.
Yes. Get more ace cards in the game. Give us an ultimate purple ace card that's not Gamamon that's good.
So
there's so many conditions there.
That was probably around the middle of the slow playing, but after that, the slow playing got bad.
Yeah.
It got really bad.
It got really bad. In retrospect, it was so funny and it was so fun, but I'm like, maybe chirping in the comments was like, I'm sure he's going to look back at that and it's going to be a fucking nightmare story for him.
I'm sure he came second. I'm sure he doesn't care that much.
I don't know. I think that, like, I'm looking at everything that happened in a very generous light. I'm sort of seeing it as like, he was cocky, but he knew it was being cocky, and like it was for the fun of the game, and it was good intention. So I'm giving him all of those, you know, positive vantage points. And even given all that, getting torn to shreds in the comments for being, like, you know, a slow player, which is functionally calling someone a cheater.
Yep.
And messing up on the biggest stage, being known as the guy who messes up at playing the game that he put a significant portion of his life into playing, I think it's going to stay with him. I think it's going to be a really big black mark on his view of himself as a player.
Personally, I don't think so. But I've also seen him talk in Discords, and that doesn't seem to be the kind of person he is.
Maybe I just have I put too much stock in my perception then.
I mean, I don't know. For me, if that was me coming second, yeah, I'd be so bummed out. But also, I came second. And it's the same thing at Nats. Like, lots of people wanted to do as well as I did. But I'm still bummed out. Like, I'm always going to think, I wish I did better. And I think the reality is, for a lot of competitors that do well, they're always going to feel that if you didn't come first, you could have done better. And so, yeah, I get what you're saying. But I also think that end of the day, he just thinks to himself, I came second. And I think that he did take on that villain role. And so give him the chirps. Like, those are totally valid chirps. And we don't need people defending him. I think the chirps made it better. I think seeing people chant USA felt so similar to watching Mango in grand finals.
Yeah. No, it's anytime you have any kind of sports analog. I think that like having teams, building rivalries, having a narrative is core to growing the game. And I think esports have done that fairly effectively. I think that card games often struggle to do it, partially because it's very individualized. If tomorrow Frozen quits playing, all of the narrative that had been built up with him kind of just also ends with it. Whereas like esports and traditional sports, they take so much dedication that I think a lot of the time, once you start on that journey, you stick with it until the game kind of dies out. So you're a part of the journey for a lot longer.
Yeah. You know, it's something that comes with playing in a lot of online tournaments or just tournaments in general. You get to know a lot of the bigger names. And for me, it's mostly NA, obviously, because
that's where you're from.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of people know this. I'm gonna go off on a tangent really quickly.
Okay.
Because originally NA could enter in other regionals.
Yes, yeah, you told me about this.
But NA players kind of good. Other regions, I don't know.
all right, don't get too controversial
but
here.
There were a lot of complaints about NA players getting like all of the tops in other regions, and so that now they're banned. But that would have been a really good series of villains and heroes, yada yada yada, for the community to grow, I think. But I understand why they did what they did and separated us. But all I was gonna say was, you get to know some of these bigger names, and especially the ones that are good because you see them top more often. Like, I'm sure everyone knows about Kiki.
Yes.
And so I think it's so cool to see Digimon grow like that. Everyone knows Dan Bang.
Yeah, Dan Bang is actually, I think, to me, the single most known name in Digimon. I don't know why
Probably,
it is.
Yeah. He's just so involved. And even though I personally haven't gone and looked, but I think Kiki has to have the most tops out of all the players in Digimon.
Really? I actually don't think I had this context. I know Kiki's good, but I don't think I had the context that Kiki was that good.
Yeah. And the craziest thing is he does it all with Vmon. I mean, originally he didn't, but for the past at least 2 years, since BT8, he's been playing Armor Rush, and since BT11, he's been playing all four. And he's just been
he's just a diehard.
Vmons. Pardon?
Just a diehard, eh?
Yeah, and you know what? What makes it even more impressive is he gets results. Is that the conclusion to Worlds?
That's the conclusion of Worlds. I kind of want to zoom in a bit because we've had a lot of opinions throughout the course of this podcast about slow playing. And because, I have some drama with it and history with it.
That's because you play security.
Well, that's also because I play slow.
And you also play slow, yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna pop in real quick here.
Sure.
I wanted to play a couple games with you before we started the podcast, and I just thought to myself, we don't have time for Ian to methodically think out all of his. It's just the reality is like I wanted to play, and then I thought it'll take too long. Because you really do think out your plays in a way that makes it difficult to just, when we're playing friendlies, have a chat with you and talk about other stuff while we play.
I want to understand the systems intricately. And it's hard for me to leave the game and just sort of let my hands go from the wheel. And if there's a misplay, just deal with it. I just really want to understand why things are happening. I want to improve. I view it as practice. And it's just hard to exit that mindset. I'm going to get us to just take a quick pause. I hear somebody at the door. And so we'll take our government mandated break.
We're taking 15 minutes, everyone.
It's a 5 minute. It's every 5 hours we have to take a government mandated break. And we've been recording for 5 hours for you listeners. All right. We'll be right
back. See you in 15.
We'll be right back.
Gabumon, digivolve-toi en Garurumon.
All right,
and we're back.
All right. I can't use that because I also was talking.
I knew you went to. I was just like, okay, Ian's gonna cue us in. I'm gonna wait for him to open his lips and immediately say this.
I wanted to come back and talk about slow play because I feel like I'm being maligned by the media. And reality is, we just took a quick break. We had a quick dinner, and Noah.
I was really slow.
You eat so slow.
No, it's a common
thing. Are you
thing.
thinking through every bite before you take it?
I'm literally just a slow eater. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I used to work at I think when I really first started noticing it was back when I worked at a summer camp.
Yeah.
we'd all be sitting at our tables outside. We'd have our meals, and everyone would just get up and leave me, and I'd just be sitting there. I'm like, I still have half my plate left.
Yeah, because you would eat a bite of pizza, and then you'd put the slice down, and I'd be looking down at your slice as I like methodically, like, I took a bite, I took another bite, I looked down at your slice, I took another bite, and I was like, pick up the slice, man. What are you doing?
It's especially bad with pizza. That's where it's the most noticeable, because I've noticed people eat pizza quickly.
Yeah.
It was actually, I had one friend back in high school who would 2-bite pizza. This guy
Really?
loved pizza, and he would eat it in 2 bites, and he would just demolish a pizza. But eating beside him was like, I'd finish a slice and he would be done half a pizza. I was on like the last 2 bites, probably 1 bite of pizza left.
Yeah.
And I turned it into like 5 bites.
I
noticed that
you kept rotating the the piece left and like finding a sharp angle so you could round it. But then like it, if it's fine, if you want it to be like a little mouse and like nibble along the side like the piece of cheese, but you turn it, you'd bite it, and then you'd chew that tiny mini bite as if it was a full bite.
As I was doing it, I was like, what am I doing? But I kept doing it unintentionally.
Yes.
I don't know what I was thinking about, but I realized I was doing it. I was like, why am I doing this? I wasn't expecting you to comment on it, but I definitely was thinking, I wonder what Ian's thinking right now.
Because I eat fast. So like, not maybe as intense as your friend, but I definitely, among my friends, am known as a fast eater. And I'm a big guy. I am both tall and I used to be quite large, and that is a result of a love of food, a deep love of the sin of gluttony.
I've talked to you about this.
Okay.
I don't actually like eating.
You don't like eating? You don't like pooping? What do you like?
Nothing. My life is destitute. I've talked to you about how I've actually been eating a lot more because I'm at work now. And just because I'm more hungry. And I'm so tired of eating, man.
Well, when it takes you a fucking half hour to eat a sandwich, no wonder.
That's why. But it's like it's a feedback loop. It takes me a long time because I don't want to eat, but then I don't want to eat because of how long it takes, and it's frustrating for me.
Well, I wonder if you should not have meals like how we just had. You should not maybe focus on the meal. Maybe you should just allow eating to happen while you're doing other stuff. Like if we brought the pizza over here and we hung out and watched something, and you occasionally turned and took a bite, would that have been better for you?
No, probably not.
No.
But because I think a problem is because I eat slow, then the food gets cold, and then I'm like, I don't want to eat this. This is gross now. I don't know. It's not that I can't appreciate good food. Like I like good food.
Yeah.
It's just I hate that I have to eat 3 times a day or however many times a day. I normally don't eat breakfast, so it's probably not 3 times a day. But
this is crazy to me. I love food. I have to like consciously stop myself from eating more.
Yeah, that was actually something that, I mean, I know everyone's different, and that is something that I hear pretty commonly. Is like when people are bored, they eat, or during COVID, I know a lot of people put on.
Well, I'm not even saying I'm bored. I'm just saying food tastes good.
Yeah.
When I make, I've actually relatively recently started cooking the vast majority of my meals. I went through periods of my life where I was with my family and then I was on meal plans, and then I was, ordering in too much. And then now this is really the first time I'm very committed to, I am going to cook 99% of the meals that I eat. And I'm really enjoying that experience. It's very rewarding. But when I cook food, I'm definitely cooking a portion and a half for both me and Julia, because I'm like, when I spent time working on this and it comes out, I'm going to be so excited to get it into me that I'm just going to want to have more of it.
That's where it gets even worse, because I've also been cooking for myself recently to make lunches. So I make dinner for myself and then I have lunch for work the next day. I don't do it hyper consistently, but it's even more annoying because now I don't just have to spend the time eating. I also have to spend the time cooking and cleaning up.
Yes.
Which sucks. But that leads me to not really wanting to cook because of the time investment, whatever. Then I go out to eat for lunch. I don't want to spend the money, but also there's not a lot of places near me to eat. I'm so tired of Wendy's.
Yeah.
I love Wendy's, but I'm so tired of it.
You're a very particular guy. Like, you really have to pick your poison here. If you want a particular meal, you got to spend the time or the money on it. And if you don't want to spend time or money, then you're eating the intake equivalent of chicken and rice every day.
And here's the thing.
You love chicken and rice.
I would just be fine with that. Just chicken, rice, maybe some sriracha on it, or hear me out. Stir fry is the perfect meal.
Yeah, I like stir fry.
I could eat stir fry every day, twice a day, forever. And I enjoy switching it up and having like tonight I said I want pizza.
Yeah.
Because I wanted pizza. But I don't like the effort, especially during the day, of having to eat. So I'm like, I just want a spoon, get this food into my mouth as quickly as possible, and to be done with it. But then it doesn't end up being that, and that's why I hate it. Because it's not quick for me, ever. That's just me. I know, I'm just weird.
You're just so weird. I
know.
I don't really know how to react to this because it's so contrary to my life and how I've grown up and how I act. And I do wonder because I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. And I definitely feel like there was always that energy of, whoever eats faster is going to have first rights to seconds.
When I was a kid, when I was a young child.
A boy of 4.
My mother loves to tell a story about how sophisticated I am.
Oh, intellectual.
Yeah. She'd put out a bowl of popcorn, and I had a younger sister, older brother, and they'd just be like grabbing fistfuls and just shoving them out. And I'd be sitting there eating one popcorn kernel at a time. Just one at a time, just doing my thing. And she loves to tell that story because to her it's like self-control and manners, whatever. I just don't eat like a glutton, I guess. I'm not saying that what they were doing is bad.
But it's just not how you are.
It's just not how I eat.
So this is actually the perfect opportunity because my family also likes to tell a story from my childhood about food very frequently that they think is emblematic of how I am. Because when I was probably like 3, we went to the Grand Canyon. My 2 older brothers, my parents. And while we were there, it was very hot. We were all tired. And so we bought, I don't know why we did this, but we got 1 bottle of Coke for the 3 of us to share. so the 3 brothers were going to share a bottle of Coke. And so my eldest brother took it and he took a small sip. And then my middle brother took it and he took a small sip. And I took it and I flipped it upside down and I drained it and I wouldn't let go. And I finished the bottle.
You know what's so funny is I've had that exact same experience with Eric and his younger brother, Evan.
Your cousins. Okay. Yeah.
Eric took a small sip. I took a small sip. Evan flipped the water bottle up, put his hand on the back of it, and crushed the water into his mouth. And so the entire water bottle was gone in 2 seconds. Because he does this thing where he opens up his throat.
Yeah, I've seen those. That's kind of gross to me.
And he just drains a bottle.
I see people do that, and they the water comes out of their eyes. Like, it's not like they're crying. It's like the water's overflowing through them.
And he did that, and Eric got so mad. But we were talking about Leviathan slow playing.
Oh, so different. Such a different topic. I wasn't ready.
It would be so great to pivot in and talk about gluttony, but Leviathan's not even glutton.
Yeah, fuck, dude. Isn't it Beelzemon is gluttony?
Biel's is glutton, and Leviathan is envy.
Dude, fuck that. He's obviously gluttony.
It feels so much like glutton, right? I feel like
can we give our takes on what the 7 demon lords should be?
I feel like we have to fact check it because it feels so much like
I'm certain that Beelzemon is gluttony.
Because Leviathan should be gluttony. It feels so accurate. I mean, just his ability. He comes out, eats a 3, 5, and a 7, and a tamer. How is that not gluttony?
Yeah, no, there's no question. So here's my pitch. I think that a few of them are obvious. Lilithmon, nobody's gonna say it's anything but lust.
Yeah.
I think that Barbamon makes sense as greed to me.
Yeah.
Well, creepy old man, Actually, is he actually greed or what is he?
I believe he's agreed.
Okay, good. They did a good job for him. Likewise, another one that I think is well done, I think that Creepymon is a good either Wrath or Pride, but I think Wrath more so. Lucimon, classic Pride.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going pretty good. We're going. We got 4 of them locked down pretty easy. Beelzemon.
I haven't seen the show, but it feels like he should be envy.
Envy is good. He's either envy or sloth are both valid. The thing is that Impmon, I think envy makes more sense because he's looking at the other Digimon. He's like, they've got the good life. I've got the bad life. I want a tamer. Everybody else gets one but me.
That's why I think
that's
envy.
So envy. The only reason why I say sloth is a maybe consideration is because he spends a lot of the time being like, I don't want to work hard. I just want the easy life. I'm just going to sit here and wait and let these chumps do all the hard work for me. So I think there is an argument for sloth, but there's such a clear answer for sloth,
Which is sleep mode.
Yeah. And then we get to our grand finale, our grand conclusion, which is gluttony. Leviathan. There's your perfect 7 deadly sins, 7 demon lords. Most of it's the same.
Wait, you didn't say wrath.
Yeah, a creepy mon.
Oh, I feel like you said creepy mon, but you didn't say wrath.
No, I think he's either creepy. Creepy is either wrath or pride, but I think that pride fits for Lucimon too well.
Yeah.
So it has to be wrath.
All right. I need you. It's gonna eat away at me.
Okay.
I need you to show me that Leviathan isn't gluttony.
Yeah. What if we're wrong?
Yeah, because if we're wrong, then I need to say it.
Then we need to delete this. We need to not post it.
We need to post it because it's just 10 minutes of us talking completely wrong.
I listen. If you're hearing this right now, we're definitely right because I would not post it.
Garurumon, Digivolve-toi en... Ouais, Garurumon.
Beelzemon is gluttony. We're anything else? Like, I think the rest of them are good. To be honest, it's almost silly that we went through the list because the rest of them just make sense. It's just that Leviathan
and Beelzemon
should be so swapped.
Yeah, I agree. Everything else is fine. It's just those two, and it's just so weird because I don't understand why Beelzemon is gluttony.
You know what? You know what modern society is afraid to tell you? Is that Creepymon is a valid option for lust. Look at that peak male performance.
Yeah, but so is Lucimon.
Lucimon's also... no, Lucimon's a child.
No. Lucimon child isn't a demon lord. It's only the chaos mode.
It's only when he's your goth girlfriend.
Yeah, Satan mode isn't a demon lord either.
Oh, Satan mode is not a demon lord.
Or sorry, he's not a 7 great demon lord. There's
yes, yeah. Because Malomiotismon is a demon lord, but he's not a 7 great demon lord.
Yeah, and I believe Grand Dracmon is whatever.
Yes, that might be right. We've gone very off the rails.
I would love to know. I know we're going to get back to slow. We're going to slow play getting back to slow play.
You know what? Show me the sin of sloth right now.
They've released the art for Ogudamon, which is the mix of all the demon lords.
Yes, because it's they're essentially releasing a Yggdrasil deck, but for demon lords.
And in the image, they have these swords. And right now on this Wikipedia page, I see a column that says sword. And I don't know what that means. Why do all the demon lords have swords? Do you know?
No. So I guess they just literally have...
Because it's really cool. It's cool that they all have swords.
They all have themed swords.
Like I want a Digimon MMO, but not about Digimon. Just you're a warrior with these swords.
The 7 Diaboromon wield the demon lords as swords. Wait, Diaboromon?
So Ogudamon X is all the 7 demon lords plus Diaboromon X.
Oh, that's cool. I actually didn't know that. So Diaboromon X splits itself into 7 and absorbs the demon lords. So we're so off track. Diaboromon teams up with the 7 great demon lords in one of the shows. In Digimon Chronicle X.
I thought he stole them. I don't know if it was he teams up with them.
Whatever. They come together.
I don't know. This is how I like to interact with Digimon media. Just read the story.
Well, there's something to be said about almost any type of media that you go to and you look at it out of context. It's just so ludicrous because you don't see the build-up. You don't see the reasons. I mean, I think that Digimon fundamentally is ludicrous because you're just looking at creatures that kind of don't belong in the same world.
Why not?
I don't think Barbamon and Angelomon are like creatures like Agumon is.
I'd watch that movie.
What, Barbamon and Angelomon mating and making Agumon?
I think they're creatures in the same way Agumon is. What?
I think there's a significant number of Digimon that are just people.
Yeah, we live in a world with animals.
Yeah, but you don't birth an animal.
What?
You could not make Max.
Max is my doggy.
Yes, he is. And
but I don't think Barbamon can make Agumon.
I think they're shown to be like a direct line. Like you can go from Agumon, you could grow up and become Barbamon. Max will never become you.
over 20 million years.
Over 20 million years, he will achieve.
If there's
peak
one thing I
performance.
learned from science textbooks,
all right, we got to get off the
we've
wiki.
slow played enough.
Yeah, we got to get off the wiki. Okay, so we experienced our gluttony, we experienced our sloth. It's time to get on to our pride.
Is it your pride?
I don't know.
Because you don't think that you actually slow play?
I just don't think I do. I mean, fundamentally,
Why don't you just start recording?
I very rarely end in overtime. It's simply like we joke about it. I play slow in friendlies because I'm learning my deck and I want to take the opportunity while I have it. When I'm in tournament, I am playing my cards at a reasonable pace and I very rarely hit overtime. The times I was hitting overtime was SetCon, and that was the nature of the deck more than the nature of my playstyle.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you truly feel that way and you feel that people are getting on your case about it, just time your turns and then say, I have actual evidence of how long it takes me.
Do you want me to get a pawn chess clockmon?
Yes,
and
a pawn chess clockmon. A pawn chessmon clockmon.
and their child, it'll be an Angelmon.
I know that this has been a problem that you've been dealing with for years and years.
Yes.
You're tired of these allegations. Just
Yeah.
prove them wrong. That's all there is to it.
All right. You had something that you wanted to get back on when we got back, because we've been talking about how we assess cards a bit.
Wait, no.
Okay.
Way back, you said Crimson Blaze. This card's too strong.
No.
And I wanted to talk about something.
Okay.
I want to talk about the BC50 meta, and I want to talk about what we've done to it, because we've hit some cards. The Pokemon, bye. The newest one, gone. Bukomon, that's a hard blow to Mirage.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hard blow because almost every good OTK deck right now has some sort of protection. Even Fenrir Lugumon he's not jamming, but he's 18k with ADP. So he's in a pretty good spot. Mirage has nothing. Mirage is gone now. And me personally, I have a problem with Crimson Blaze and I have a problem with Red Hybrid.
Okay.
I'm very vocal about this. Mirage was a very good counter to Red Hybrid. And now it doesn't feel like there's a good counter to Red Hybrid. Maybe I'm missing it.
No, Red Hybrid is just very, very good right now.
And the problem I'm having is every time I think of a deck, I feel like it doesn't do well against Red Hybrid. And I don't want to play that deck because it doesn't do well against Red Hybrid. And what deck does do well against it right now?
There is nothing that stays on board is going to feel great against it, and nothing that can't deal with very fast speed will do well against it. That's most decks.
And we're just in a weird spot right now because, it's not like they're doing 50% of the meta. Like they're not getting top 8 out of the top 16. But you run into a Red Hybrid, you're probably in for a bad time with most of the decks that you can play.
I think if we saw Red Hybrid really step up to the plate in a way that was dominant, I think that we would see the rise of black decks, because black seems to have the best tamer removal in the game, and that would be under Machine Dramon and Hades Force.
And so the reality is that Machine Dramon does do extremely well against Red Hybrid.
Yes.
But it does very poorly against a lot of the other decks that are out there right now.
Exactly.
And
I mean, we have a balancing act. Like, that's what's keeping Red Hybrid from becoming dominant, because the moment it starts to become a significant enough percentage of the player base, I think we will see the rise of counter decks like Machine Dramon.
I think Machine loses too hard to every other deck in the meta that it
in order to come first. Yes.
Yeah. And so most people just won't play Machine.
Well, that's kind of the nature of like what we talked about with Worlds. When you host a small tournament where everybody wants to come first, and it's either, it's nerf or nothing, I think that you end up in a meta where no rogue decks appear, no counterpick decks appear, because like, who wants to fall on their sword playing Machine Dramon when you could be playing Leviamon X? I think that's kind of the nature of all small tournaments. It's almost why large tournaments are, in my eyes, more representative of what's actually a good deck and what actually like deserves to thrive, because it can face those rogue decks and come out on top.
that is part of the reason why I think it's more impressive to come first at one of our online regionals where they used to be close to 512 players than it is to come first at Worlds where there's 20 players.
Yeah.
Because you don't just have to fight the good players. You have to deal with rogue decks coming out of nowhere that you just ought to lose against, right? Like, if there was a Millith player at Worlds and Setcon faced them, what's Setcon going to do against Millith? Nothing. Roll over and lose. That's the nature of the matchup.
Yeah. And
so,
I think that the existence of rogue decks are what make card games interesting. I mean, I'm fundamentally, even though Anubismon was extremely relevant, now that it's been hit, Shaman King is a relatively unplayed deck. And I think that makes me excited about it, about the idea of like, I'm entering tournaments, I'm trying things that my opponent hasn't necessarily seen,
is
30
Minerva
times.
Also a shaman?
Yeah, so Anubismon, Minerva, and Merva are all shamans. And then Cerberusmon,
And Dobermon?
Cerberusmon, Dobermon X, and Labramon are dark animals.
It's so weird that you specified Dobermon X but not Cerberusmon X.
You know why? It's because there's not a lot of reason to run Cerberusmon regular in most decks. But Dobermon was a deep love of mine for the pairing with Alice McCoy, which is my favorite tamer.
That's fair. Speaking of Labramon, actually, we're finally getting those Survive promos.
Yeah, the value of my 3 Labramons that I purchased is about to plummet.
I mean, you haven't even been using them for the past little bit. Right?
No, they were a tech card that I got in order to make Bagra Army more effective because I needed a way to remove hate rookies, specifically Psychmon, while I had a Uamano on field. But yeah, as much as I think that rogue decks are extraordinary and I enjoy engaging with them and playing them, I think that what was frustrating me, what continues to frustrate me, is when I go to a tournament and I see a red player, I know I'm going to be seeing Crimson Blaze. And the heart of what I have an issue with that card is, unlike a hate rookie is active as long as it's on the field. If I have an answer to that card on the field, I can get rid of it. Crimson Blaze, there is nothing I can do until my next turn.
Real quick, let's rate the 4 Sovereigns options.
Wild statement. Okay, what are the 4? Remind me.
Congo, Crimson Blaze, Sorai, and Mugen.
Mugen is the bottom one.
Mugen is the worst one.
I was thinking it was Blasted Disaster. I was like, no, that's too early. Okay, so I think Mugen's the bottom one. I think that the other 3 are all good. Let's start there.
Yeah.
The other 3 are all extremely good.
Personally, I think Sorai is the next one.
The next from the bottom? Yeah. So here's the issue. I'm in agreement, and I think that we're going to have an easy road to the top because right now, I think Congo comes after Sorai.
Yep.
And then obviously Crimson Blaze right now is insanely good because it's a purple meta.
As soon as Crimson Blaze came out, I immediately thought this card was too good.
Yeah. So why don't we remind our audience what it does?
Crimson Blaze is a 6-cost play option, use option.
Yes, not play.
A 6-cost use option, and it deletes all Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. And then, this is the original translation, and then your opponent cannot play Digimon by effects. They've censor-ratted it, so it says your opponent cannot play Digimon by effects. Then delete all your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less, which is relevant for decks like Dark Knightmon, or if you run Gomamon, or anything that has an interruptive play effect.
Okay.
So when it would be deleted, do play out a Digimon.
Yes.
This card also, in addition to this great standard effect, reduces its cost by 1 for every Digimon your opponent has in play.
It's functionally maximum 5 play cost.
There are very niche cases where you play it for a full 6 just to make your opponent unable to play Digimon the next turn. But if you were ever killing a Digimon with it, it costs 5 or less.
Yeah.
You're never paying full price unless your opponent has an empty board, which just thinking about that is crazy. Why did it have that reduction of cost? Why did it have the cost reduction? It is a very good card. It wipes out your opponent's board and has this lingering effect. Now, mind you, Congo has a lingering effect. Sorai has a lingering effect. I couldn't tell you what Mugen does. I'm pretty sure it's suspend two Digimon.
I think they can't unsuspend.
Oh yeah, it's none of your opponent's Digimon unsuspend.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's during their unsuspend phase or something.
I think it is.
It's bad. The way Bandai used to handle not letting your opponent unsuspend was almost always during their unsuspend phase, which
is crazy because we've had unsuspend effects in the game forever.
They did not like green.
Yeah, fuck green, dude.
But Sorai's lingering effect, I mean, it's very good, and so is Congo's. But Crimson Blaze right now in this meta is extremely good.
Yeah.
But it's not just the fact that you can't play by effects. It's you are doing a full board wipe. Sorai does not wipe any boards. Congo doesn't wipe any boards. Mugen doesn't wipe any boards.
Yeah, those cards, Sorai, Mugen, and Congo, are fundamentally skip a turns. That's the intent of them. It's skip. If you were trying to go for lethal, don't do that right now.
And then you have to deal with the fact that I believe Mugen is 4, Sorai is 4, Congo is 2. Not Sorai. Crimson Blaze probably averages 3 to 4 play cost.
Yep.
And I've seen it used for free. I've seen it used for 2. I've seen it used for 1. I've seen it used for 5 the least. Maybe 6. But again, average 3 to 4. That's a really good card for 3 to 4 use cost. And
yeah.
Maybe if Psychmon worked against it, it'd be different. But just, it's a very strong card.
Here's my truth. I don't think hate effects should probably exist on options. I think that hate effects being non-interactable after they've hit the board is extremely upsetting to me. I would rather it be on a tamer. If it was a tamer on play, it does whatever effect you want to say for the turn, and it's like, okay, well now I need a way to delete that tamer, and I get rid of the effect. That's what I would say it does.
Which means if you're not playing black or
sure, but then there is a meta option that you can be like, okay, I'm going to try and control for this effect that will shut down my game plan.
I guess, but to be fair, you can't get around Venusmon's floating effect or Rune Mode's minus DP, even if it's not on board. It's almost the same as the option. I mean, you have to get up to it.
Yeah.
Which changes it.
I mean, I kind of also think that those are very powerful, but at least those are on when Digivolving effects on level 6s and 7s. So there's a much bigger investment to get there.
Lingering effects are becoming more and more powerful. I mean, they've always been powerful, but especially, this is jumping ahead a little bit, looking at Magnamon X. Can't be affected by your opponent's effects till the end of your opponent's turn. But in that interim, before they've checked a security, if you have an effect lingering on them till the end of their turn, they can be affected by it. So if you double Megalo Spark them and do negative 16 KDP, it's still living on your turn, but as soon as you turn past, that thing's dying.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's nice. So something like Metal Gurumon from BT15, target 3 things, make them unable to suspend. That still hits Magnamon X. It's unaffected by it on your turn, so they could still block you, but on their turn, they can't suspend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's helpful at the very least, but it just goes to show how powerful lingering effects are. But we hate Crimson Blaze.
And I think that we probably just don't like the word can't in Digimon. I mean, as much as I played Belphemon having can't be affected was already a problem. Magnamon X is looking like it's going to be a problem. I think that the same issues I have here, let's get into it. The same issue I have with Leviamon is the same issue I have with Crimson Blaze. Because Leviamon, if a Biting Crush is on field, it's like, okay, I have no way I can interact with the effect.
Play Pomomon.
Fine, yeah, and then they will attempt to they'll get rid of their Biting Crush because they won't realize. But realistically, I just have to say when I trigger it, it will go off, or I never trigger it. Those are my only 2 options. With a Hate Rookie, I can get rid of it. Any effect that says there is not a way around it, you just have to deal with it, is, to me, upsetting. And you're right, lingering effects are becoming more normalized, more common, but it's not the direction I really want to see Digimon go in, because I think it leads to less interaction, not more. And I think one of the positives about the direction that Digimon's been going with Aces is that the game has, as a whole, been becoming more interactive.
I'm out of here, man. I was thinking about the fact that Biting Crush costs 8 and your Leviamon doesn't die at the end of the next turn. But Trial of the 4 Great Dragons costs 8 and it kills your 4 Great Dragon.
Yes, you cheat out Trial, though.
You can cheat out Trial.
You're intended to cheat out Trial.
Yeah, but it doesn't always work out that way. Only your level 5's cheated out.
Yeah. I still think
I guess they play it at
the design of the deck is to literally just place it into your battle area.
And it only plays from hand.
When your 4 Great Dragons are deleted, they also place it back down.
Yeah, but you have to have one in hand.
Yes.
Biting Crush is forever.
Okay.
Biting Crush is forever.
You just hate trash.
I do. It's not that I hate it. It's that we've gone way too far with it. It's too strong. And I think it's very easy to see that.
It's hard because what I value about the game and what I think is interesting is effects that are not tribally locked and effects that allow for a lot of player agency and choice and deck building. But the more you do that, the more the game just hits a state where you go, oh, I'm just going to toss in all of these good effects.
If every color had access to
trash equally?
No, an Uber mode like effect, would you think that's okay?
Would I think Uber mode was okay if every deck had it?
Yeah.
Would
you still think that, like, so if when you had something in trash, I could just be like, we're gonna bottom deck that. Would you still think that like that kind of effect is okay?
Yeah.
You think so? You think every color should have that?
I actually do think every color should have that. I mean, to be fair, they do because it's an on play, so you actually could play it in every color. But I know what you're saying. It's not naturally a component of every deck to put a Black Gatomon Uber mode in it.
Right. It's like how every deck could play Leviamon, but
I actually think that the idea of trash having because right now the cost of trash is that my opponent sees it. Oh, okay, it's open information. There being an additional risk or additional interaction from your side of the field to my trash, yeah, I think that's great. I think that if we feel like trash is becoming too powerful, we should be releasing more Black Gatomon Uber mode as a white Digimon that can digivolve from any level 3ers.
That would balance it more. See, the problem is that you're saying it's open information, but the reality is it's open information that you can't do anything about.
You can prepare because you know that once a Mervamon is in trash, it is a greater risk for me to digivolve into an Anubismon. Whereas if I have not,
it's not, because when you digivolve into an Anubismon, you just trash the Mervamon on.
Yeah,
Digivolve.
You're right. I should really say Minervamon because that's a lot more relevant. Anubis is a cursed exception.
Yeah, it's definitely more fair with Minervamon. But again, it's things like, how do you prepare for that? How do I prepare for, you have a Mervamon in trash. How do I prepare to deal with
play Crimson Blaze?
3 rush. Exactly. And that's what it is.
I know how we got to this game state where we wanted to release a card like Crimson Blaze. I mean, it's not a new card. So it's like, it's clearly something that they wanted to be in the game and be an option. And then we have Pomumon and hate effects like Pillowmon that prevent playing by effects. I have no question that it's a good ability to be able to play a Digimon by effect. All I am saying is I want my opponent's hate effects to have a body attached to it so that way I can in turn respond. If my response is just waiting a turn, it's the same issue going back to BT6 of Ice Wall.
Yeah.
And just going, welp, I guess I'll just wait. And if waiting and passing turn back to you means that you're just going to have lethal, a lot of games end up with a situation of, boy, I hope they don't have Crimson Blaze in their hand, or I guess I'm just going to scoop here.
See, it's funny because my bigger issue with Crimson Blaze is just the wiping of the board.
The board wipe is your issue.
Yeah, I just don't like that. It's just so...
It's so powerful.
Because it's not just... If it was a 6-cost wipe like 4 things off the board, yeah, that'd be frustrating. But it's a 2-cost wipe 4 things off the board. And that's the part that kills me. And Crimson Blaze is in a lot of decks right now. What's really frustrating, and this is part of what makes yellow-red combination so cool, is yellow lowers DP. So you lower an 8k down to a 6k, and now, cool, Crimson Blaze hits it too, yeah. Right? And so to me, Crimson Blaze is a pretty frustrating card. But
I'm actually shocked that Mugen is the associated card, by the way, for green, because I mentioned Blast of Disaster. It is just green Crimson Blaze. It's suspend every one of your opponent's Digimon, then gain 1 memory for every suspended Digimon.
yeah, but it doesn't have a lingering effect.
I know, but it's a scaling 6-cost green option.
But Crimson Blaze is the only one that scales like that.
I know, but I'm just saying it's a good analog for Crimson Blaze. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
That's it.
I guess. Yeah, Mugen was actually the first one to come out.
I didn't know that.
I guess Abominamon was the first Sovereign we got too, wasn't he? No, Azulon came out in BT 6.
Yeah, that's the one that was run with Hexablaumon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it in BT 6. So it went Azulon, Abanwu, Zuchao, and then we finally got Bahimon.
Yes, I'll say yes. I'll say I don't know. I don't have a lot of affection for these lower groups. Dude, when you tell me that Devas are a deck, I've seen every Deva maybe once in my life in like a show. Like I look at Tamers, they don't stick around.
I've never seen that chicken ball rat thing.
Yeah, I went and looked
at
it after we had that chat. What a weird fucking guy.
I think it's called Kombiramon or something. Actually, most of the Devas I haven't seen. Like Entailamon I've seen. And Mihiramon, I guess. There's probably more. I can't think of them. Oh, Majiramon.
Sandira, Vadra,
No, I don't think. Actually, I think Vajramon I've seen. He was actually in BT5.
yes, he was.
Sandira I've never seen.
There's a purple Vadramon.
Yeah, he Digivolves for 2. He was sick in pre-release.
Yes, I need Digivolve for 2.
That is actually, I want to talk about that really quickly. Whenever I bring up a card to our good friend Mark, and he says, I've never
Good
seen
friend
that,
is a stretch.
I've never seen that card before in my life. The reason these cards stick with me is because of pre-release.
I actually think the stories that we get from pre-release stick with me more than almost any real tournament I play.
That's because pre-releases are just pretty much your only interactions with tournaments.
I go to locals now.
You've been at how many locals?
3.
2, 3. That's cap. 2. You've been at 2. Don't lie to me.
I've been to 2.
But no,
by the time this episode comes out, it'll be 3.
I do think you're right, though. I think that so much more interesting plays can happen at Sealed, and I think it makes cards stick in your head. And so the other day I played Muchomon against him. He said, I've never seen this card before in my life. Did you not play pre-release? This card was so cool in pre-release. Just draw a card when you attack. That's a good card. That is not pack filler. That's
Guilmon.
That's Guilmon, but better. It's when any red Digimon attacks. I mean, it's different because Guilmon just went attacking.
All right. We're gonna leave off on Mark, I think, because he gets mentioned on this podcast too much, and every time we talk about him, he sends us a message saying, "Don't keep my name out of your goddamn mouth."
And we're back.
Dude, not every time I take a breath is us taking a break.
I wanted to say that so bad in the middle of one of your sentences. Okay, we're sorry, Mark. I mean, we're sorry, unnamed
citizen of the Hamilton Digimon community.
Of the Bong House.
The Bong House. Dude, the people don't know about the Bong House.
The Bong House has never been referenced. It's a secret.
Yeah.
We'll keep it that way.
One day the audience will be led into the Bong House.
No, they will not.
You don't want to make it a public Discord?
No. It's private. Yeah. But one day we'll make a big Bong House.
A big bong. All right.
An Errata Sonata Bong House.
All right. I think I'm actually going to say maybe we should call it there because that pizza was good, but I'll be real. I'm feeling myself fading fast.
You're a weenie.
I'm a weenie. You know what it is I, you know that I was on keto for like a year and a half, a little bit more. And even to today, when I eat a lot of bread, I feel the tiredness is coming on.
I am 98% sure that Taylor is gluten intolerant. She will not do anything about it. Every single time she has anything that has gluten in it, she talks about how much stomach pain she has and she doesn't want me near her. She's gluten intolerant and she won't do a thing about it. It's so frustrating to me.
Julia thinks that she is allergic to shrimp. She's never been tested. She refuses to get tested, even though she works at a medical clinic and it takes 2 seconds. Whatever.
Needles, man.
Whatever. I've given up that fight. We went to this family dinner at a fish restaurant for a fish fest. And I said to her, eat the fish. If you're worried about the shrimp, just leave it on the side. I'll eat your shrimp. And if you're still hungry at the end, I'll get you something. Don't worry about it. Out comes the second course of 6 courses, and it's a big fucking shrimp. And she says, that looks delicious. I'm going to eat it. She says, I think I'm okay. Maybe it's correlation. I'm going to eat it. She eats it. And she gets like halfway through it, and she goes, I'm not feeling great. And I said, stop. And she said, but I am enjoying it. So she eats the other half of it. And then the next like 3 courses come out. It's like a set menu of like 6-course meal. And each of them is crustacean or I'm not sure what shrimp actually qualifies as.
Shellfish.
Yeah, crustacean or shellfish. And each time she goes, I'm not feeling great, but in for a penny, in for a pound, I'm going to eat more shrimp. And so we get home, and obviously she's sick. She's so sick. And she has a terrible night, throwing up, and she goes to bed early. And I asked her yesterday morning, said, hey, Julia, when we go into work, how about you get an allergy test? And she says to me, but I don't think I'm allergic to shrimp.
But when I hear this story, it doesn't sound like she's allergic. It just sounds like she's intolerant.
Like
Like
other cultures?
Yes. If you were lactose intolerant, would that show up on an allergy test?
Yeah, it does. Because at the end of the day, an intolerance is just a mild allergy. An allergy doesn't mean you go into anaphylactic shock.
No, I know that. I know that. But for something like this, where it's more of like, because if you're allergic to tree sap or something,
okay,
you'll get hives, maybe you'll get a rash, something like that.
Yeah.
I've been under the impression that some things just affect your stomach differently. Not that if you're lactose intolerant and you rub milk on your arm, you're not gonna break out.
My understanding, for all intents and purposes, lactose intolerance is a milk allergy.
But so I'm pretty sure there's a difference between gluten allergy and gluten intolerance.
Yes, because I think what you're referring to is celiac disease.
Yes.
Is a body's inability to break down gluten, which is different than having an allergy to it. If you have an allergy to something, it will enter your body. You will have a reaction because your body thinks that there's an irritant inside of you. And usually you either throw it up or it passes through you and your body just holds on to that irritant response until it's exited you through either end of your body.
So to me, that just sounds like you can't handle, like it's similar to food poisoning. Like if there's a bacteria.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, that's why a lot of the symptoms of allergies are almost identical. The reason why anaphylactic, I know you understand that there's a difference, but the reason why anaphylactic shock happens is just because your body's having a big enough reaction that's going, oh, the food that we ingested that we're allergic to, like cyanide, like we're gonna die. We need to 911 get this out of our body right now, and your body essentially shuts down. It's having a panic attack. The reason why an EpiPen is like, I'm pretty sure it's just mostly adrenaline. It's just getting your body to have like the energy to get through the shock.
It's epinephrine.
Yes, exactly. So anyways, the thesis of this is, if you think you have a shellfish allergy, probably don't go to a shrimp fest.
It's so funny. As soon as you start telling this story about Julia, my dad was allergic to shellfish.
Okay.
And so to me,
we hate sea animals.
Yeah, to me, I was like, yeah, I'm allergic to shellfish.
Okay.
I'm not. But that was just like, I'm never going to.
Oh, you just internalized the idea that like you don't eat shellfish.
Exactly. Now I eat shrimp. It's just fine. Actually, the other day, I was feeling fancy. I just bought a ring of cocktail shrimp and just ate it while I made dinner.
You know what? I love those rings of shrimp, so I can get behind that.
I actually didn't like it that much, but try everything once.
Yeah. Give it a go.
That's the sign off. Try everything once.
Yeah, this is your ghost. Do you want that to be it? Just
give it a go. No, we have to say our due diligence.
So, anybody who's interested in reaching out, I think we're going to be calling it for tonight. Thank you for listening, of course. If you want to reach out, you can contact us at erotasonatapodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at erotasonata.
Comment, leave a question, leave a like, subscribe, leave a monetary donation.
Yeah, we'll, you know what? We don't have a Patreon, but if you DM me, I'll give you my e-transfer, and you can send me what you think we deserve.
Send us your favorite Digimon card in the mail, please.
You know what? Actually, you know what? Let's actually talk about that for 1 second. What's your favorite Digimon? What's your favorite Digimon card? Single card.
Like art or what it does, or
mechanically.
Mechanically, that's so hard. There's so many cool Digimon cards.
Come on, you hit me with one. What's your favorite rookie?
And I have to do it quickly too.
Give me your favorite blue
Lunamon.
Lunamon. Oh, pick it up for and
I
gain
think
2
it's so
memory.
interesting. It's pick up a Digimon, gain 2 memory.
That is fair. I actually think that cards that have unique effects like that are, well, they're rare. The thing is that sometimes they're too good. Sometimes we get stuff like the Legend Arm package, like how we had like the Infinite Combo.
Yeah.
And I think that like excessive uniqueness can be problematic, but on paper, a card that's just like, hey, it's gain 2 memory effect on a rookie. That's so cool to just exist in the game.
What's yours?
I think I have mentioned it to you before. It's Drachmon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just Digivolving.
Yeah.
The promo or the original?
The original I like. Cause I like the when, specifically like when attacking Digivolve is, I think, a really cool effect. And it's unfortunate because I think that the stronger Dark Animals / Undead has gotten as a package, the more I'm like, well, this card is less interesting because it just feels like devolve into anything from trash instead of having a specific limitation of a subset of purple cards that you are able to choose from.
Sure. Leave us a comment telling us what your favorite Digimon card is. It can be aesthetic, mechanics, whatever. Just leave us.
And tell us what 7 Deadly Sin you think it is.
Yeah. Tell us if you agree with us about Leviamon being gluttony. That's all for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to Errata Sonata. We love you guys. And girls. Everyone. We love everyone.
We love you.
Metal Garurumon!